Please welcome Arun Chaudhari. Arun Chaudhari, just face it. Just face it, Arun Chaudhari.
R-E, re, D-U-N, done, redone? That doesn't sound right, does it? R-E-D, red, U-N-D, undi, red undies? That doesn't sound right either. Doesn't look right too. Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, whichever way you look at it, redundancy is not a funny word. Call it downsizing, reorganizing, restructuring, or by any other politically correct, softly couched word. When you lose your job, because of circumstances beyond your control, you still lose your job. Along with it, you lose your financial security, your peace of mind, your self-belief, and in some cases, your sanity. Raise your hand if you've ever been made redundant in a job. My goodness, almost half the room. Well, I can identify with all those who put their hands up. You see, last year, in November, I was made redundant after 14 years in a job that I absolutely loved. The irony of it was that just the previous year, I had been given a substantial raise in my salary for an outstanding performance. Only to be literally standing out 1 year later. I went through a range of negative emotions, from depression to self-pity to anger. And then I looked at the positive side. My wife still had a job. Our home loan was under control, even if I wasn't. Our family dog had gone on a diet. So chances were we would get by for a while. But what if I had been a solo parent with 3 young kids and a huge mortgage? So I realized that things weren't as drastic as I first thought them to be. I decided that I would keep my sense of humor and just face it. When I was leaving for work or looking for a job the next morning, my wife said, "Hang on, dear, I haven't kissed you goodbye yet." Sweetheart, you just have to get in line behind the restructuring team. By that evening, my dear wife had looked up every single job website from Taranaki to Timbuktu. And by the end of the week, she knew so much about employers and recruiters in my industry that she could have become a consultant to any HR consultant. My darling wife also suggested that I read a story from the ancient Indian text, the Mahabharata. This is how the story went. 2 men, Krishna and Balram, were camping in a forest one night. While Krishna slept, Balram kept watch. Suddenly Balram saw a massive silhouette of a giant approaching him. It was a scary monster. As he got close to Balram, he went, "Wah!" Balram quivered, and the the giant doubled in size. Balaram ran, he called, "Krishna, Krishna!" and fainted. Krishna woke up, saw Balaram lying on the floor, and thought it was his turn to keep watch. The monster saw Krishna and approached Krishna. He went towards Krishna, charging and roared even louder than before. Krishna asked him calmly, "What do you want?" The giant was furious. He screamed again, and Krishna again said, "What is it that you want?" And the giant kept dwindling in size until he grew so tiny that Krishna could put him in his handkerchief and put him away in his pocket. The next morning, Balaram told Krishna about this terrifying monster that he saw and was attacked by the previous night. Was this the monster? But how, Krishna? You were fearful, so it kept doubling. I faced it, and it kept shrinking. Redundancy. That was my monster. It shook me, I faced it. Made fun of it, shrunk it and put it in my pocket. A bit like Krishna did. Well, kind of. When I shared this story with my other colleagues at work who had been made redundant, it changed their outlook instantly. They got their sense of humor back. They decided that we could start our own company. But what would we call it? How about Misery Loves? Because misery loves company. One of them quipped that now our employer would have far too many chiefs and hardly any Indians. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not know what monster you might be encountering in your life today or will encounter in the future. Life is a jungle, and there are monsters out there far, far bigger than a redundancy. Being fearful will allow them to double in size and will enable them to overwhelm you. What I do know is you can conquer your monster and shrink it if you just face it.
Silence for the